Welcome to Deep Cuff Channel. Whole world is witnessing the march of the Ukrainian army to victory. Ukrainians are closer than ever to winning the biggest battle of the 21st century. Russian President Vladimir Putin is very afraid of losing the war. News from the front heralds the victory of the Ukrainian army. Western countries may send a system to the region that will be a game changer for Ukraine in the midst of their production crisis. Unable to fight the Ukrainian army, Putin's army began to withdraw from another very important region. But this pullback is skeptical to some military analysts. Vikings are coming for Russia. Successes of the Ukrainian army at the front continue to darken the hopes of the Russian troops. According to breaking news from the region, the head of the Luhansk Oblast Military Administration, Serhiy Haidai, reported the success of the Ukrainian armed forces in the oblast and the attack on an important enemy target. Making a statement on the subject in Telegram, Serhiy Haidai said, "The Ukraine rocket forces and artillery hit 2 command points, 11 enemy personnel, weapons and military equipment clusters, as well as another important enemy target the other day." Panicked after the successful Ukrainian attacks, the Russian troops tried to take some steps to block the advance of the defenders. Accordingly, the Russian forces deployed artillery systems and tanks to the regions of Nevsk, Novoselivsk, Makiivka, Ploshchanka and Dybrova in the Luhansk Oblast during the daytime in order to increase their military pressure and to prevent the advance of the Ukrainian army. But these Russian attempts also failed as usual. War announced by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces is a document of the historical losses suffered by the Russian army. According to these statements, Russia lost 590 soldiers, 3 tanks, 5 armored combat vehicles, and 2 artillery systems in the last 24 hours alone. Following this, the press service of the Ukrainian Air Strike Forces Command said that the Ukrainian Air Strike Forces had taken a combat position near Bakhmut. These special paratroopers reportedly launched special operations against Russian-controlled fronts and captured many Russian-owned areas. Known as the 71st Yaga Infantry Brigade, this unit draws attention with the operations it has carried out especially in the Donbass region since the beginning of the war. While most of the Russian losses were in the Donbass region, operations in the southern region continue at full speed. Russian army, which started to increase its military mobility in the southern region, began to target the Ukrainian troops in the region. Russian army aimed to break the resistance of the Ukrainian army by carrying out a total of 50 attacks with artillery attacks, as well as 4 rocket attacks on targets in Razumivka, Zaporizhzhia region, and Muzievka, Dnipropetrovsk region until the morning hours. Since these Russian attacks were previously detected by the Ukrainian military, no serious damage was done. As a matter of fact, the defense forces repulsed the enemy attacks near 10 settlements, identified these regions one by one where the Russian troops counterattacked, and began to strike these regions together with the organized operations of warplanes and artillery systems. Main centers of these attacks are stated as Kherson, Mariupol, and Zaporizhzhia. While these areas are among the priority targets of the Ukrainian army in the southern region, especially the Zaporizhzhia is one of the most critical areas of the war. In this context, the head of Ukraine's nuclear energy company Energoatom made very critical claims in his latest press release. The president claimed that Russian forces could prepare to leave the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. There are some signs that Russian troops may leave the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. We have found that Russian military activity in the region has decreased. They can withdraw from here, as in Kherson, said Energoatom chief Petro Kotin. Photos released by independent satellite companies after Kotin's statements show that Russian troops in the region began to flee the area, collecting all the ammunition they had or could find. In addition to its geopolitical position, the Zaporizhzhia region is becoming a much more critical region with its nuclear power plant. This area was to be used as a tool for the Russian army to solve the economic problems of the war. However, the heroic Ukrainian army scored another historic victory. Withdrawal of Russia allows the Ukrainian army to advance and expand the range of operations. In addition, the latest news from the USA indicates that the operational range of the Ukrainian army will be doubled in the near future. Pentagon has announced that it is considering Boeing's offer to supply Ukraine with large quantities of cheap, small precision munitions attached to rockets. Known as GLSDB, this ammunition can increase the offensive capacity of the Ukrainian army up to 150 kilometers. Currently, there is no formal agreement on the transfer of these munitions to Ukraine, but we expect announcements in the near future. If this transfer is approved, these munitions could become the U.S. military's most important aid to Ukraine after HIMARS systems. Because if the Ukrainian army receives these systems, it will gain the ability to carry out operations without approaching the effective range of the Russian defense positions. In addition, not only the USA, but also the British Ministry of Defense announced that it has officially approved the transfer of Brimstone 2 missiles to the Ukrainian armed forces, and the transfer has begun. In fact, although these retreats give the impression that the Russians have fled, the situation is a little different if you ask me. Indeed, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that Russia is preparing new missile strikes and that they know it as a fact. Zelensky also stated that they are working on all scenarios with their partners and underlined that all their troops will be on the alert throughout the week. Because the Russian army began to build a long-term complex defense on the eastern bank of the Dnipro up to the Crimea. Images released by independent satellite companies recorded dozens of individual defense nodes blocking major transport arteries and aiming to counter an attack from the west. Therefore, the Russian General Staff is fully considering the possibility of conducting an amphibious operation by the armed forces of Ukraine to cross the Dnipro. These defense lines formed by the Russians actually form the basis of their attacks. Because the Russian attack that Ukraine is waiting for will not be made to advance, but to break the Ukrainian resistance. Because the Russian generals knew this, they might have wanted to create lines of defense just in case. Russia's first priority is thought to be to increase its air defense capability in the region. In this context, the Russian armed forces reportedly deployed the latest version of the Soviet-era Buk surface-to-air missile system to this region. Buk-M3 medium-range surface-to-air missile system, also known as Viking, is designed to intercept all types of cruise missiles and aerodynamic targets. According to some reports from the Russian state agency TASS, the Buk-M3 launcher carries 12 missiles, while the self-propelled fire unit is armed with 6 missiles. Compared with their previous versions, the new anti-aircraft missile systems are equipped with a higher chassis carrying capacity and improved control system. In addition, Russia took a big step to provide protection in the region with its navy. Natalia Humeniuk, head of the press center of the Ukrainian Southern Operational Command, announced that a Russian missile carrier has started a combat mission in the Black Sea for the first time in days. According to the statement, this missile ship had not been seen in the Black Sea for a long time. Ship is reportedly a surface missile carrier armed with 8-caliber cruise missiles. This is a big sign that preparations are underway. We'll see what happens together. Victory for Ukraine. We will continue to monitor the world and especially Ukraine. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.